Hey guys, how you doing? My name is TJ, and in this video, I'm excited to introduce my new series called Careers in Tech, where I'm going to be interviewing people that work in a lot of different roles within the tech industry. Now, learning to code and becoming a software engineer is not the only way that you can transition into the tech industry and get a good paying job. So in this first interview, I'm going to be sitting down with my friend Jay as she tells us about her six-figure business analyst job. Jay gets very candid about her pay and also walks us through different roles that she's had along the way and about how much she's been paid as well. But first, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel and feel free to comment below any questions that you have or just to show support. Hey Jay, how you doing?
Good.
Awesome. Would you mind introducing yourself and kind of, telling us a bit about what you do?
Yeah, no problem. So my name is Jay Chappell. I'm originally from Houston, but currently residing in Austin as a business analyst. Right now I'm working for a startup, but I've worked for large companies, medium-sized companies. This is actually like my first year, so jumping in a startup. Which
Really?
It's a completely different experience, but cool.
Okay, that's awesome. So I'm not sure if you know, but my first job in Austin was as a business analyst.
Oh, well then.
Yeah, so, this would be really, really interesting. So yeah, tell us, I guess, can you kind of tell us what you actually do?
Yeah, so essentially like business analysts, it kind of depends on the company and the challenges and the problems that they're solving. So like I've had certain roles where I'm doing a lot of external analysis. So we might have a client come in, they give us their data, they want us to like find insights and value in the data they give us. But I can also do that internally where our company is saying, we want to improve a process, but we want it to be like data driven. So I look at the data, find a way to create a process and make it better. But like that data is my like proof, like, hey, this is, if we increase this number by this or the pricing this way, we might be able to have like this much revenue.
Okay, interesting. So you're talking about data a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of almost sounds like you're describing a data analyst type role. Like, what is the difference there?
Well, see, what I found in my career that when I get business analyst roles, it is also partially operations versus like data analysts. You will work with like data scientists, data engineers, and a lot of them have more of like a technical background versus business analysts kind of lives between like non-tech tech.
That's so interesting. So back when I was working as a business analyst, I was dealing with more so gathering requirements. Like, oh, the company wants to build this feature, right? This is what this feature needs to be able to do, and this is what the users need to actually be able to accomplish, right? So me gathering the requirements and, doing mock-ups, wireframing, handing that to the engineers. They build it, and now we test those things to make sure that, that the goal that we set out to achieve is aligned with what they built.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that's different. It seems different from what you're talking about.
Yeah, that sounds more like, actually, let me ask you a question. Was it like a startup? Or was it?
It was a small company.
Okay, then I was like, that's what I was saying. It depends on the company size. So like, when I worked at larger companies, what you used to do sounds more like QA testing, QA engineer / product manager, where you're gathering requirements and like wireframing. I know how to low fidelity, like not really big on wireframe stuff, but in my role, it's like analytics. That's what I do, and I like might do some business, proposing business solutions and like data visualization and stuff like that.
Okay, so how did you get interested in this role, anyways?
So background, I actually went to school thinking I was going to be pre-med.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same pre-med, pre-pharmacy, pre-everything.
Yeah. So then I took OChem. Hey, organic chemistry. I hated it. I hated it so much. But I really liked, I was a human development and family science major, and I really enjoyed like the research, the analysis, and we took like statistics and stuff like that. I was like, oh, like this is all I want to do.
Wow.
I don't want to do like this, like working in a hospital thing. And
you
I don't
really enjoy school?
I enjoyed that part.
School gave you a hard time. My goodness.
I enjoyed that part of it. And so when I graduated, I had a job as like a compliance analyst.
Okay.
So still getting like that research analyst stuff, not super into like data visualization, but just like analyzing, problem solving, critical thinking. Cool. And then being in Austin, the tech bubble, like Facebook had only been there for maybe probably like a few years, and like all these companies like, oh, what's this? Like, what's going on in the tech world? They're all hiring. Every networking event was about tech.
That's true.
And so I ended up meeting a recruiter, and I just gave them my resume. I was like, this is what I know how to do, but I'm interested in this. And I ended up getting an interview for a tech company, and I didn't get the job. But I reached out to the recruiter and I was like, hey, how can I gain this experience?
That's a major key there, right? So even if you apply for a role and you don't get that role, try to follow up if you can. And I know that hiring managers don't always do a good job of getting back to you to give you feedback, but you should still shoot your shot and try anyways. You know, you never know. Sorry.
No, but that's what happened. Like, I thought it was the generic, like, hey, do your background ball. It's like, I'm just gonna take a chance and say, like, hey, how can I get this like background? How can I get this experience? Yeah. And that company ended up having like same role but contractor.
Okay.
And so I took the contractor role, and the whole time that I was there, I had access to like I think at the time it was Lynda Learning, but I think it's LinkedIn Learning now.
Okay.
I would just stay behind and learn any and everything that I could learn. And I think at the time I was interested in coding, so I was like, I'm just gonna do this free coding thing. And I was like, I don't really like this. But I still had access to like the learning tools and the people. Yeah. And they knew like, oh yeah, like if you want to learn this, like you can come sit next to me and I can like show you. And I hadn't heard of like business analyst, operations analyst. Like, I don't know what this is, but this is what I like to do. And so they kind of like, well, you should learn this. Okay, well, you should look at this. Or like, go to this YouTube or like sign up for this course. Yeah. And 6 years later,
here we are. Okay.
I've been an analyst.
Awesome. So here, I guess, what are common misconceptions that people might have about what you do that you've heard about versus what you actually do?
Yeah, I think it's mostly just the misconception of tech. Like, everyone knows.
Tech is a misconception.
Yeah, well, like, everyone knows that I work in tech, so they're like, oh, you know how to code. Like, oh, you can build me a website. Oh, you can. I'm like, I don't do that. Yeah. I can point you in the direction for that. And, but in my actual role, I think that business analyst is so broad that there's some folks who think, like, oh, you gather requirements. Oh, you're writing Python and you're using R, and I'm like, no, but those type of roles do exist within business analysts. So even when I'm applying for a role, I'm really looking at like, okay, is this what I know how to do, and like, are these the type of problems? Like, I know how to do this. Yeah. So yeah, if you're interested in business analysts, like you really have to comb through the job description and ask the right questions.
I see. To pretty much figure out what type of business analyst the company's looking for. Wow. Well, here, can you walk us through what a typical day in a life is like for you as a business analyst?
Yeah, so like I said, it's half operations, half analyst. Okay. So I could get a request like, hey Jay, we need you to look at this data and build out a process to improve, incremental revenue. So what I'll do, I'll go look at the data, I'll look at what our current revenue is, and so I'll do all the analytic stuff. And once I have all the process, the operations part kicks in. Okay. Because I'm creating the process, documenting the process, and then making sure that people are trained on like the changes.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It is, but it's not as bad because like the cool thing about being a business analyst and just working with data, you kind of given the freedom to like find insights. So you sit in, you do queries, like, oh, okay, like we're not doing a great job at tracking this. If we were, then we could blah, 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 and you just test out the actual process. Okay. And so that's what my day-to-day will look like. Or it might be, can you like create a dashboard for this client and like this is what they want to see. So I'll make like a dashboard and some business or data visualization tools.
Interesting. Are you using like a lot of PowerPoint, Keynote? Because I know you mentioned running some queries. So are you using SQL for that, or like what type of tools and skills do you think that people in this role need to focus on?
SQL, definitely. Just not even for business analysts, but once you start to learn SQLs and build up like being comfortable with writing queries, and you get like complex so many doors will open for you. And then in terms of like data visualization tools, you have Power BI. Tableau is really big. Honestly, once you learn Tableau, all the rest of them like
makes sense. So SQL and Tableau so far.
Looker is another.
Looker, what's that?
Similar to Tableau. I think it's one of their competitors, but very, very similar. And then if the job requires writing, Confluence, Jira, Atlassian, like that whole bubble of like writing, documentation, knowing how to like put tables and links and stuff.
Okay, so having good writing skills is important in this role too, as well?
Yeah, I would say it's super important because business analyst sits between tech and non-tech. And so you have to be able to communicate. And so that can be written. And like I said, the training part. So like, okay, do you need to create a deck in PowerPoint, Google Slides? Do you need to write out documentation? Or do you need to actually like train a group of folks on your new process? So just all around being a great communicator. But like in terms of like hard skills, I would say like SQL, SQL, Tableau,
and those are kind of really like the main two.
Yeah, because like when you write SQL queries, you might use like maybe Snowflake, or your company might have their own thing. But once you get like
their own tools.
Yeah. But once you know like the syntax and you have a deep understanding, whatever they use, you just look at it and you're like, oh, okay, this is how y'all write things. I know what this means.
So you also have to be a quick learner because you are going to be forced to learn on the job the different tools.
Yeah. And quick learner because when you take a new role, it's new data that you've never seen. So digging through tables, doing just random queries to see like, okay, what lives in here and what doesn't, because if they ask me to improve a process and we don't have the data, then you have to go talk to like the data analyst or data engineer and say, hey, where is this and why aren't we capturing this?
Okay, this is so interesting to me because I'm actually interested in this role. I'm actually like, oh, hold on, this actually sounds fun because you are basically consulting based on data.
Yeah.
Like you are using data to help drive the direction that the company needs to go.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. Like, that's dope. Because for me, like, I'm just like building stuff that's handed to me versus like actually dictating. Like, okay, even though you guys want this is actually what the data is telling us works, etc. You know?
Yeah.
So, wow. What is the most exciting or just the part that you enjoy about this role the most?
I really love the problem solving. And I'm a data geek, and a lot of what you just said, like, I get to create processes. Like, I get to say, this is what's going to work. I've been living in this, like, database for 2 weeks. Here's, like, my queries, here's all the information, and folks are like, all right.
Okay. Because people can't really argue against you, because arguing against you is arguing against their own data.
Exactly. And so with that, like, I do work a lot with product teams and engineers because like, this is what the data says. This is what the tool, I'm not going to design it, but this is what I think it should look like. And like, this is what the tool needs to like pull in, like the data to do whatever.
Wow. So you also help inform how engineering teams build products.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of power for just one person to have.
No, it is. And that's what I was saying, like when you interview for business analyst roles, you want to ask them like, what problems or challenges like are you gonna want me to solve?
Yeah.
Because if it's not something interesting, you're gonna hate it.
Ooh.
So you have to know about the product, you have to know about the company, and like, oh, I'm actually not interested in like even looking at that data and like figuring it out. And it also lets you know if the data is a mess. So it's like, so you want me to come clean up the data? Yeah. Really, really like have to ask these questions.
Wow. Okay. Well, here. So this sounds like a dream job so far. Even like for me, I'm sitting here like, oh man, I might actually want to rethink the software engineering thing a bit. But I guess what is the most challenging aspects of this role, or just parts of this role that aren't necessarily so exciting all the time?
it can be challenging to like, depending on the size of the company. So like, this is my first like stint in startup, right? And before, you would throw out a decision and then they'll go through all these hoops. Oh, okay, I don't know. Startup world is like, yeah, so you could be presenting this to like the CRO or CEO and stuff like that. So that can be challenging because you have to also take into mind that this is their product and it's their baby. It might be their first startup. And so you're proposing a decision and it's not always what they would want.
It's not in line with what they necessarily thought.
Yeah. Okay. And that can be a bit intimidating. It's just like, hey, like, I know you really want to build this, but we're not in a space to like do that because like we don't have the data to promise this to users.
Wow.
So that's something that I had to get comfortable with.
Okay. Well, interesting. Let's kind of pivot a bit to if somebody was to try to get into this role, like what are educational background that somebody needs to do? Like bachelor's and this and that, etc.
With the way like the job market is now, a lot of companies aren't even requiring bachelor's degrees. So it's that's going to depend on the company.
Okay.
But you don't really need like a technical background. I've worked with like old teachers, like sales folks and things like that. I think the most important stuff would be like SQL, writing, being comfortable with like solving problems, even presentations, being comfortable talking.
Yeah.
So those are soft skills, but hard skills I would definitely say like SQL and like Tableau.
Yeah.
A plus is like for me, I don't like coding, but I've been in it enough to like be able to read and translate. So if I am working with an engineer or a product manager, like if they send me code or like they're like doing a demo, actually like I don't want it to work this way. So that's an advantage that I have, and I would encourage people, even if you aren't interested in coding, like me, it is helpful to at least do like intros.
Okay.
So like HTML, CSS, and like Python or R. Like just do like a one-on-one like intro.
Just basically do some kind of basic tutorial to have some idea.
Yeah, because then that opens you up to like knowing terminology. So like a lot of companies aren't even expecting you to come in and program, but it's like, oh, you're going to be working with this product manager, engineer, and then they're going to be saying stuff. Okay, I understand. Okay, you're going to write the script and it's going to do this. Okay, I'm going to do my part. And like, it makes it, there's no language barrier. I'll say that in terms of like programming language and just like non-technical role.
Ooh, okay. So yeah, this is a interesting one. Can you give us the average kind of like salary expectations that somebody just getting into this role can kind of expect? Like ranges, etc.
Yeah, I can be transparent about like my journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's like sometimes people are definitely like a bit more. Hey,
I feel like we need to do a better job at just being transparent so that people don't get lowballed. But my journey has been first analyst role, probably in like 50s, 60s range.
Ooh, child. Hey, keep in mind, so yeah, I'm saying ooh, child, because my first analyst role, 37, I'm still mad about that. $37,500. Okay, so like 50K, man, 50K would have changed my life back then.
Yeah. But like 40, 50, and then I jumped to like mid 70s, 80s. Okay. And now like six figures. Okay. So it's definitely like lucrative. I think the median salary right now for just like business analysts in Austin is like 76. Okay. Wow. Which goes a long way.
So wait, hold on. Did you say average or median?
Median.
Okay. Hey.
And I think I just looked up like generic business analyst. So I think starting out you could 50, depending on the company. Yeah. 50, 60. But if you're looking for a way to move into six figures, it's definitely possible.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Dang. Well, yeah. So thank you for all of the information that you've actually given today. So the funny thing is, I thought all this info would be helpful, to the people watching, but it's been very. I'm sitting here like that. I'm still trying to kind of figure out how to actually move forward in my own career, and this has been something that you've actually opened up lights into where I'm interested actually.
Yeah, so I'm a business analyst, but technical business analysts do exist, and those are the folks that have those technical skills.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You can look into it.
Yeah, we'll see. So here, do you have any shout outs, anything that you want the audience to know about you, about anything that you are working on? Do you have new products or anything like that?
Yeah, so right now I'm actually working on this program called Tech Finesser, and it's for folks
okay.
Folks that have, like me, finessed their way into tech.
Hey.
So I'm still working on that. I'm also in grad school, so it's been on the back burner, but it's going to be up and running at some point soon.
Okay.
And then also for UT folks in particular, I also created and shared the networking event for homecoming. So we just get a bunch of folks together, the alumni and current students, and we network, we help them with their resume, we connect them with resources on campus, but also we know what it's like when you graduate.
Yeah.
Even if you have a job or you don't have a job, a lot of us now are in a position to help or have companies hey, they're I want to get into tech. Hey, I got a friend TJ,
Yeah.
He does this, and you should reach out to him. Or hey, the company I'm working for is hiring. Let me see what I can, do and figure out. So those are probably the main two things. And then, I'm a resource.
Okay.
I'll give you my LinkedIn, or we can find somewhere to put it. But I'm always open to answering questions and then pivoting you in a way, or giving you resources to help figure out your career.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, so I will actually include all of the contact information for you for Tech Finesser.
Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, all of that information will be included below, so stay tuned. And that's it. Thank you so much.
No,
I really appreciate you for coming and blessing us with all this information.
Thank you.